This is Cydni.
And I'm Sher. And each week we get together to share with you a message of hope.
It is through our own study and our personal experiences that we offer the reminder to not only seek the light,
but be the light. You can find peace, and there is hope.
And as long as one of us is slightly caffeinated, there will be laughter.
Welcome to the Hot Mess recap of 2023.
Our hot mess is hotter than your hot mess. And we're so glad you're here. We hope you had a Merry Christmas.
Okay, I'm a little worried about this episode, Cydni. This might be a hot mess. What was that?
That is not a snake. Though it sounds exactly like a snake. It's not. It's a sizzle, like a hot frying pan if you cook, which I don't. But if you do, I've heard it sounds that way.
I was thinking more of a dumpster fire hot mess.
Like on a cold winter's night and there's a dumpster on fire and there's warmth and light.
No, not even that good. Just a dumpster fire.
Okay, I'm going to see it in my head the way I just described it.
Okay.
The snow is softly falling, but you could go to the dumpster fire. Go to the dumpster fire. You'll find peace and warmth there.
I'm just living in reality.
Okay, I'm not going to.
All right, so let's get started with our 21 questions.
And play along. It's a great thing, as we've learned, to glance back at your year. So after you've listened to our really solid answers, you could then answer them yourself. We believe in you.
Hopefully it will be fun.
It will be fun.
So I'm going to start with the first question, which you'll never, ever guess who wrote this question.
The question.
First question. What was your favorite?
Paris.
And that sums it up. Yep, that's it.
Okay, I'll let you read the full question.
Thank you. Cydni, what was your favorite place or trip you went on this last year?
Oh, that's a really inspired question, Sher. Thank you for asking. I would say it's definitely Paris. It'd be Paris, Sher. Paris. Paris was the greatest trip of this year for us. We went to Paris as a family. We saw Paris things that people in Paris see. We saw.
I never would have guessed that was going to be your answer.
But I have to say that it had to be my answer because I've mentioned it a few times, enough times that if I didn't say it, I feel like I'd be a fraud. But I also have to say, Ben and I did go to Chicago and I did love it so much. And it's hard to say, is it because it was a kid-free trip and that just hits different, as the kids say? But also one of the desserts we ate in Chicago was a balloon.
You ate a balloon?
Yes. They brought us a balloon and that was the dessert. And I just don't know if you could ever top that experience. The balloon was made out of green taffy and so was the string. They put real helium in the balloon. So at this very, very nice dining experience, you sucked in the helium and then talked to each other. And our table was a little bit loud, as in me and Ben, because it was so funny. It was hilarious. His voice got so high pitched and he was talking to me and I was like snort laughing so hard. Oh, it was amazing. So that was so fun. And so that wasn't in Paris though.
We just got a 2-for-1 deal on your favorite trip.
There's no way, like every single question's going to have a 2-for-1.
We're never going to finish. We may not get to 21 questions because I just might cut it off.
No. You're like, welcome to 4 questions. Enjoy the next 2 hours with the 4 questions that we have. But I would say Paris for the sake of expanding my horizon. And Chicago was just so fun. Okay, what about you?
So I was also a brat.
What do you mean also a brat?
Well, you're pretty bratty.
The honesty.
So when I retired, I've always wanted to go to St. Thomas since I was like 12 years old. And I decided that I wanted to figure out how to get there. And I was just looking at cruises and they happened to have a really good deal going to the Virgin Islands, so St. Thomas, and the Bahamas and Dominican Republic. 2 of my very best friends and I, we went on this cruise, but I haven't told you the best part. The best part, not only did we get to go to these awesome places, is they were having this awesome deal and we got to stay in the penthouse. The penthouse. It was awesome. We had a butler.
I've never seen joy explode from your face the way it just happened.
It was pretty awesome. We had a butler. We had a concierge. It was really cool.
Not Paris, but it sounds nice.
Did you have a butler or a concierge?
We had 3 children who listened to what we said if
No.
we offered them croissants.
Yeah. No, they didn't listen.
No, they didn't. Well, good for us.
Yeah, it was fun. It was awesome. It was really cool. It's like a once in a lifetime experience.
Okay, I have one for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite quote of the year?
Since you chose 2 trips, I'm going to have 2 quotes.
Fair.
So the first one was from Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He was talking about King David from the Old Testament and how the prophet Nathan was talking to David about his sins. He was giving an example, and in the example, he's talking about the rich man taking the poor man's sheep, but he also brought up another person in the story, which was a traveler. Instead of preparing one of his own sheep for this traveler, he took the poor man's sheep and he gave the traveler that sheep instead. And he brought up the fact that there wasn't a traveler in the real story with King David. The traveler is actually symbolic of the intense emotional fixation we develop for something we want. But once that particular traveler has taken up residence in our souls, the temptation is no longer a moral temptation to be resisted. We now rationalize and view it as the right thing to do. And I had never thought of that before, that when we allow those thoughts to just get in our soul and stay there, we welcome it in, it just grows and grows and grows until we just accept it. And then we make up reasons and rationalize why what we're doing is okay. And then the second thought was actually from his wife, which we just talked about a few weeks ago, which is when she said, when you're making your priorities for the day, bring God into it and pray about it, which again, hello, I had never thought about doing before.
Mine is a newer quote because it also is difficult for me to pick a favorite. But James Whistler, an artist, I loved a story about him that he painted something that was so desired that he was offered a lot of money for the time for it, but he kept it and he hung it on his wall because he wanted to remind himself when he was doubting that he's capable of creating beautiful things, that he would look at the painting and he would say, it was by my imagination and inspiration given to me by my own hands, I created that. If I did it once, I could do it again. And then he says this, hang on the walls of your mind the memory of your successes. Take counsel of your strengths, not your weaknesses. Think of the good jobs you have done. Think of the times you have rose above the average level of performances and carried out an idea or a dream or a desire for which you have deeply longed. Hang these pictures on the wall of your mind and look at them as you travel the road of the way of your life. There's my quote.
That's beautiful. You ready for the next question?
Yes.
Okay, number 3. What was your favorite book or poem or song this year?
We combined all of that to give our own self a heart attack. Because how do you pick?
We decided to do all 3 to make it more difficult. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're like, how do we make things more painful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think every question's going to be difficult because I love a good book. And I was trying to think, which book did I love the most? Should I share that? Or which book has changed my life this year is what I went with. And there's a book by Bruce D. Perry. It's titled, What Happened to You? I'll summarize one of the reasons I loved it and why it changed my life. He explained that whatever your core belief is, when it is challenged, you will resist it. So, for example, in my situation where my core belief due to young age trauma was surrounded of no self-worth, when, let's say, Ben would say he loved me or something positive, I would rebel against that idea. And I would get very upset at him because he's challenging this deep, deep core belief that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy of love, and that I don't have any self-worth. So when he came with gifts or love or affection, I would want to throat punch him because he was challenging what my core belief was. What this book did for me was it helped me to understand that sometimes your core belief is wrong and that it is possible to change your core belief. And if you spend time through awareness, therapy, meditation, you can change what your core belief is to something that is more helpful. But you see it in a more positive way too. Some people who just seem like they have good luck all of the time, their core belief is that they have worth, that they're ambitious and they're confident, and they find and attract to themselves this amazing life. So it's important to spend time and reflect and get deep to your soul and figure out what your core belief is. And if it is a little wonky and wrong, you've got to do some work and change it, and you will change your life.
That's really good. I like that a lot.
It was a very impactful book for me. Thank you, Bruce.
My turn?
Yeah.
I decided to go with a song, and the song I chose is a country song by Raylan. It's titled Somebody Else. I won't read the whole song, but just a little bit of it is, we're all looking for something. We're just calling it something different. Ain't that nobody's talking? We're all talking, but nobody's listening. It might be worth a try. Instead of everybody looking out for me and I, why don't we go love somebody else? Pick somebody up that needs some help. Yeah, we're all a little off the rails. We spend enough time loving ourselves, so why don't you go love somebody else? Anyway, it's a great song.
It is. You sent that song to me.
I did?
Or Shelly did.
I think it might have been Shelly.
And I was like, wait a second. Are you guys telling me to love somebody else? Thank you for sending this to me. And I think it was Shelly who was like, that is not what I meant. You should not be thinking of yourself right now. So it was a really good song. The lyrics are powerful because we are off our rails together.
We are. So maybe off the rails, we can find somebody else to love.
Good one. All right. The next question. What is the hardest thing that you've faced and a lesson you learned from it?
Well, the hardest thing I faced this year is having a stroke. And from that, I learned patience. I also learned that God knows what is coming and God knows us. And if you take time to listen, He will actually prepare you for it. And I've learned empathy. And I've learned to be grateful for all of my blessings, especially my health. That's mine.
I love it.
That I had a stroke. Thanks a lot, Cydni.
Oh, we needed the content.
I'm glad I could help.
We both got to do our part. Got to pull our weight. Okay. Mine actually goes hand in hand with the book that I read. I don't think there's a coincidence to the inspiration of reading the book, which is a story in itself. But also what happened next for me was I went back to therapy after almost a year. I always said it took 3 years. I've said that in several podcast episodes. It took 3 years to find healing. No, ma'am. No, it didn't. It's 4 years and going. Can't wait for the future. So because of the book, I was prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually to go back into therapy. And the hardest thing I faced this year was this session, which is wild because I thought I did the worst part. The hardest part was behind me. Oh no, it was not. But through EMDR, I got down to that core belief and I've been healing it. I was able to pick up this little inner child of mine and pick up a squishy little body and say, I love you to myself. And the hardest thing I've done this year is work on changing my core belief and then piecing things back together. It's also been the greatest blessing. And so now when Ben, who is a gift giver or a word of affirmation, I accept it. And I tell myself, this nice word, this nice deed goes into this little bucket of core belief. And I'm going to drain this other bucket that is not true. And I'm going to add to this new bucket that is true. And that is helping me in every aspect as far as a mother, a wife, doing this and not being scared out of my mind or having worries of fear and all of the things that come with talking into a microphone. If someone else is listening, I could do this all day if no one's listening. And that has been the hardest thing that I faced. The other thing I just have to say is that I ordered a new pre-workout and it got lost in the mail. And that also has been very challenging.
Oh, what a tragedy. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
It's okay. I'm going to get through it.
I want to go back to what you were really saying and just tell you I'm really proud of what you've done. And that's really great, Cydni. I'm glad you were able to push through that because I saw some of the impacts that it had on you and you just powered through it. You were very determined. So good job. Yeah,
we had a meeting right after that day and I cried my eyes out in front of you. I was like, hi, Sher, I'm fine. I'm fine. I was like, I can't stop this. So yeah, I cried for a solid week. It was a cleansing and I'm a new person. I'm a new soul until I tell you it took 5 years and then I'll tell you it took 6 and then I'll tell you 7.
But it's just like everything. We're just working on it one step at a time. So you're one step closer to being healed. So good job.
It's just amazing to know that in the hardest parts of our year is found the most beautiful blessings.
That's true. All right. On to our 5th question. This last year, what weakness have you uncovered and how do you plan to overcome it?
Thanks to my husband's help, we have uncovered a weakness. The other day, I was really upset and I was trying to express how I felt. And he said, well, what you're feeling is pride. You're prideful. And I just really appreciated that feedback. But it was true. I felt it in my heart. So thank you for people who bring up the truth and help us be better. But truly, I've pinpointed some of the feelings I struggle with, and it's pride. I am prideful.
Well, I've never noticed it.
Are you joking?
I'm not joking.
Well, I think I save it for my marriage. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually learning about pride. And I'm going to, Carl Jung, he says that you're supposed to use your shadow. And I've always thought, I wonder what my shadow is, my dark side. But thanks to Ben, we've uncovered that. And now I'm going to incorporate my pride. That's what he said to do. I don't know what that means. Maybe like Harry Potter, he uses the dark side a little bit to overcome Voldemort.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Anyway, for me, it's pride. I need to be less prideful. And I do get prideful.
Just keep it at your house and we'll be good.
Okay. What's your weakness? I wrote some down if you didn't think of any.
That was very kind of you. I have my weakness, and was kind of obvious, is that I obviously need to take better care of myself. I mean, I had a stroke. So that's what I'm going to work on.
That's good.
Okay.
What is your favorite speech that you've heard this year?
My favorite speech of the year was President Nelson's talk, Peacemakers Needed. Oh my gosh, I love that talk. He basically just said, stop being snarky and treat each other better. And I love this one quote. He said, brothers and sisters, we can literally change the world one person and one interaction at a time. How? By modeling how to manage honest differences of opinion with mutual respect and dignified dialogue. I love that. We can change the world if we just treat each other better. That's all it takes. It seems so simple, but yet so hard.
That's a great one. I couldn't decide because I do love speeches. And I had to go with the one I listened to the most because I think that's proof. It must have been my favorite. And it's Denzel Washington's speech. And I love it so much because he talks about falling forward on your faith.
That was a good one. I love that also.
And about dreaming big, going for it, failing big. And I love so much that when he talks about God, he says, I have been protected, I have been directed, and I have been corrected. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. There's so many life lessons that I've actually implied into my life from his speech. I found it to be incredibly powerful, and it's my favorite this year.
And you've used this speech a few times in our episodes, and I've learned a lot from him. I really enjoyed that talk also because of you.
It's a good one.
It is.
Beautiful.
Moving on to number 7, what was the best and or dumbest advice you've received this year?
Okay, the best advice I heard was one sentence that I've really been thinking about. He said, to change in your mind and in your heart the idea from what you want to do to what you must do. And if you change from want to must, then that creates in your mind a level of urgency that will help you accomplish what it is that you must accomplish. And then the worst advice was probably to hydrate, eat healthy, and get all your sleep. Hate that one. Stupid. What about you?
Well, mine's going to tie into your last one. So 4 days after I had my stroke, I love swimming, and I decided that I could probably just tread water just for a little bit. And this may shock everyone, but it made me really sick. And so when I was talking to my doctor, I'm like, I went out swimming and I got so sick. And she just was staring at me like I was an idiot and said, you know, you had a stroke just 4 days ago. You don't start by jumping in the pool and treading water. That's not a wise move. And then she explained to me about taking one step at a time, which I was just thinking, oh, I'm just going to do things and just jump right in and walk it off. I've learned you can't walk off a stroke. So there you go. I combined me being stupid with the best advice I got this year.
Maybe you're a little prideful too.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll work on that together.
Okay. What is the most random fact that you've learned this year?
I read in a very educated article with lots of proof that some people are dissatisfied owning a dog and that it actually causes a lot of stress and sadness. It was from an article that I'll definitely cite later. It's not from my own personal experience and sadness today of having a dog that won't go outside in the wintertime. What about you?
Wow, I can feel the tension. Woo.
I hate that we're supposed to like animals. If you don't like animals, you're a bad person. It's not real. One time, I have to tell you this. One time when I was in the hospital, and since I was there long term, so they'd start bringing something in to help with just like better mood, positivity. And the first thing they brought in was a dog. they brought in emotional support dog, and I belly laughed. I was like, I truly thought to myself that this couldn't get worse. Sitting in a bed, staring at a white wall day and night, and mostly alone, couldn't get worse. And they brought in a dog. I laughed so hard that I cried in front of them. And then they left and never did anything again. I was like, people don't understand. Like, some people need emotional support dogs, and some people need no animal.
Parakeet, bunny.
No animal. Fine. I don't want them to die. I'm a good person. I love people. The person could have just come and sat, and I would talk to them for 5 hours. But why did they bring a dog?
I'm going to bring my dog over every day.
I like your dog.
Oh.
Because I've healed.
Anyway, moving on. I turned to my nephew Landon to help me with random facts because he is a random fact machine. You're going to get 3.
Okay.
Wombats poop in squares.
That's amazing.
And it gets
so
better.
Modern.
It is. And bear cat's body odor smells like buttered popcorn.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So does mine.
Here's one more fact just for you, Cydni, that he has given me to give to you.
Okay.
Due to thermal expansion, the Eiffel Tower is 15 centimeters taller in the summer.
I didn't know that. And I've been to Paris, so I should know that.
You should.
Thank you, Landon.
He thought you would like that.
Merci.
Moving on. What's the best new word in the definition for this year?
If you remember, I downloaded and paid for an app that gives me a daily new word. I've opened it once, but that aside, I thought I would instead tell you, according to Times Magazine, the word of the year is authentic. Which I thought was beautiful because we live in such a fake world with AI taking over and writing songs and eating pizza. And you know what? Authentic. We are authentic. We could be authentic. We could pretend to be authentic. What about you?
I felt like I kept reading so many quotes that had the word vouchsafe in it. And I'm like, what is this? And sorry to everybody who knows what it is already, but vouchsafe means to grant or give as by favor or graciousness. Vouchsafe. There you go.
It just doesn't flow though, huh?
No, it really doesn't.
Vouchsafe. Okay. If you suddenly died, would you be embarrassed of your browser history?
Not really.
Be honest. I've already gone through your computer today, so I'll know if you're being honest.
Well, you were very disappointed. There's a lot of tech websites, current events websites, but what I would be most embarrassed about, because I don't want people to think I actually like them, is I really enjoy looking up videos of NBA basketball players that I really dislike and watching them fail at things. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but it makes me laugh.
I'm a little surprised by that.
I know it. I enjoy it.
Okay. No judgment. No judgment. You loser. You rich, athletic, tall, professional loser. I like that.
What about you? Save me from myself.
I think that I'd be embarrassed for some of the words I look up how to spell. I think that'd be a little bit embarrassing.
Or for me, how to pronounce.
We do a lot of that.
Yes, we do. Okay, moving on.
What is your favorite scripture or Bible story from this year?
Your cake and nap from the Bible. I loved it. I had never noticed that in the Bible, and I enjoyed every second of it. So good job.
Thank you. I like the way I see the Bible when I read scriptures. I like it. I laugh a lot.
Good.
It's funny to me.
As it should, because you brought it to life. So good job.
Thank you. I made the decision by which one I've read or listened to the most, and it's Psalms 91. I'll only read a little bit of it. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowl, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. I love that one. There's a singer who performs the song. Her voice and the words have touched my heart and have truly, I found so much power and have been uplifted by her beautiful voice and by the words here in the song. It's beautiful.
That's a beautiful passage of scriptures. It really is. It gives you so much hope.
Yeah. And for me, there's so much description of chaos, but be still. I'm with thee. Don't be afraid. I'm right here. You're not alone. I love it. All right. What is a challenge that we have come up with in each episode that you've actually started using in your life?
You're going to be really super proud of me because when we first started this podcast, Shelly was our only fan for a while, and she was really pushing us. She was pushing us to just publish something.
She was our first fan before we got started. Nobody even knew.
Exactly.
And she was very supportive.
Very supportive. Thank you, Shelly, sincerely. And the first day we published an episode, she gave us a little journal. And I was actually writing down all the challenges in there and doing everything and following along. I was doing that until I had my stroke, and then I have been really bad at it since then. But just glancing at the book, like the first episode was about the one, and I really tried to focus on treating people better at school or at the store, wherever I went, just saying thank you and trying to be kind. Then the change one, because I'm really bad at changes. And so just to mix it up, I park somewhere different. I sat in a different spot at lunch and, that kind of stuff. I just was really crazy that week. But that's the type of thing I did. I really did try to follow along.
Good for you. I am really proud of you.
Well, thank you. I was trying there for a hot minute, but then it all went down the crapper for another hot minute.
Well, I challenge you to get back to it.
Thank you. I will do that.
I believe in you. Okay. For myself, there's two that have become part of me. One of them is practice the pause.
I knew you were going to say that. I was going to steal it, but I knew you were going to say that. That one's a good one.
I do use it. Pause before reacting. Pause before talking. Sometimes I really need to work on that one. But I say that to myself all the time. Practice the pause. It's really helped me to react in a way that I would actually want to react instead of reacting emotionally. Also, we've talked so many times about being grateful, and I have not written them down. But I do practice gratitude throughout the entire day. I've started practicing gratitude at stoplights. I say out loud until I feel it, what I'm grateful for. And it is changing my life. It's changing my day, it's changing my attitude. It's giving me energy to have better days.
Those are good ones.
Thank you. What is your greatest source of inspiration?
Oh, I think you know my answer for this. I'm obviously going to say my parents, and I will continue to talk about them all the time.
I love it. I think your parents are also my greatest support. I feel like I draw inspiration from so many sources that I found this answer difficult because I thought about Ben and I thought about my own little self. I know that when I was a child growing up that I made promises to myself about what my life would look like when I was older. And I feel pretty peaceful in a lot of ways with some of those things. And then I was thinking music and I was thinking God. And so I draw inspiration from all good things as best as I can. And caffeine. Lots of caffeine. What's the best and worst review we've gotten?
I think our worst review, but also most honest review, was from Chris, who...
In the
very beginning. But Chris, who is also our sponsor, has really helped us a lot getting things set up and organized. And when he listened to our first episode, his review afterwards was, I thought you would be funnier.
Which is true. We were both so scared.
It's true.
We didn't know each other. We were really scared. We didn't know even a little bit what we were doing. And it wasn't funny.
Well, we still don't
scary.
Really know what we're doing.
But sometimes we crack jokes.
Yeah, and we make each other laugh.
Yeah, we get a good laugh out of it.
And then our best review, honestly, all the people that have just been so supportive and say that they like it and for us to keep going. And most of those people are in our friend or family circle. But thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like whether it's posted on a podcast app or a DM that I've gotten through Instagram or text that we receive, people who I just feel like they don't know that some days we are saying to ourselves, like, why are we doing this? Or should we keep going? Without fail, someone says, please don't stop. Keep going. Thank you. And even if you're lying, it is meaning everything to us.
Sincerely, I agree with everything Cydni just said. So thank you.
Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. And we're excited for 2024.
Yeah.
Because now we are a little better, Chris.
I don't know if he agrees yet. All right. What are you most grateful for this year?
It is the podcast. It truly is.
Yay.
I mean it, because I will say why. I have been studying topics I sincerely care about, and not just studying them, but studying them to talk about them. And it's helping me to truly learn and spend my time so much more wisely. And that is blessing every aspect of my life. It's giving me a purpose and a reason and priorities that have really blessed my life so much. So thank you.
Thank you. I love that answer. It's actually going to make me change mine just a tad, but not much. I am so grateful this year that, because sometimes I don't listen very well when God is trying to tell me something, but I really listened this last year when I didn't even know you. And the Spirit, for some reason, said, yeah, you should do this podcast with this crazy lady you don't even know. And we did it. We both did that. And then I listened when God was saying, you really need to retire this year. I thought it was for other reasons, but then when I had a stroke, I realized truly why I needed to retire. And then having this podcast has given me something to do that I actually can do, that I can muddle through a little bit with your help. So for real, I am just so grateful this year that even though sometimes I don't listen well, that I chose to finally listen, and it's really paid off. So I'm grateful for that. So Cydni, give me one standout moment from this last year.
When I was in Chicago, I had a day to myself and I walked alone to the Navy Pier. And I will say that I had to go to the bathroom so badly. And there was porta potties everywhere. And everything in my heart and soul said, don't open that door.
That was a good move.
No, I opened it.
No.
Because I really had to go and I couldn't find a bathroom anywhere.
That's when you know you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I was not prepared for what I saw and I did not go in. I thought to myself, I really ought to listen to those inspirations more often. That's just a side note. That's not my moment. I just wanted you to know that I opened up a porta potty that I saw in there, things that I still don't understand to this day. But anyway, along my journey, I went and I enjoyed a beautiful scene and it was fun. And when I was walking back, there was a little old lady in front of me. She was also walking back from the same area. I had my AirPods in and I was listening to a good talk and just enjoying the view. And she stopped and she looked back and she said, "Did you go that direction for the play?" And I didn't know what she was talking about. So I said, "No, I'm just visiting," and walked down there while my husband's in meetings. And she's like, "They had a play. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I cried." So I took out the AirPods and we started chatting. And I was like, "What play was it?" And she said, "It was called Beauty and the Beast." And I was thinking to myself, you know how people remake and change songs in different known classics? I thought maybe it was a remake or maybe they just spiced it up a little bit and she just really enjoyed it. I asked her, "So what was it about the Beauty and the Beast that you liked?" And she said, "Well, the music, it was amazing." And she's like, "Well, let me tell you. So there's a girl and she just loves to read and she falls in love with a beast. He's a beast, but she doesn't care what he looks like on the outside. She only cares about who he is on the inside." And I said, "Have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast before?" And she said, "No, it's the first time I've ever seen it." She was 84.
How is that possible?
I don't know. It was a mind-blowing experience. And it's still hard to take this all in because she was the sweetest little 84-year-old lady. And she had so much joy and excitement and love and passion for something that she had never seen that I have seen 100 times. I knew the story, hadn't even thought about it, wouldn't get that excited about it. And I felt like a rebirth in my soul to enjoy the things that maybe we see every single day, the people that we see, the books that we read, anything that maybe get too used to. I just thought I need to, like this woman who's been around Chicago and never had seen Beauty and the Beast until that day. And she cried when she talked about it. We spent the next 2 hours together and I feel like it was a life-changing conversation with her. I loved her. She gave me a big hug. We missed our turn because we were talking so much, but it didn't matter. I had nowhere to go. She had to catch a bus. But it was a little bit bigger deal for her. But I just felt a rebirth in my soul that day.
That is beautiful. So yours is really good. Mine's not so good. My standout moment, I'm going to say two, since I was like 12 years old, wanting to go to St. Thomas and then just being there with two of my oldest and dearest friends. And then of course, having a stroke was pretty standout moment, but you know, I like the first one better. Okay. What's the best new joke you've heard this year, Cydni?
Did you know in Hawaii that loud laughter is not allowed?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they only allow aloha. I love that joke so much.
That is a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right. What's another name for a dinosaur fart? A blast from the past.
Wah, wah. Oh. We both picked the same style.
Yes, we did. That's something about both of us.
We're like, dad joke. Okay. What are 5 things that make you happy and one thing you have to stop doing that will help you be happier?
5 things that make me happy: family, friends, my dog, Rudy, popcorn, and diet soda. And what I need to stop doing is eating the popcorn and drinking the diet soda.
Good answer.
Thank you. Okay, what do you got?
The Chick-fil-A mobile app that you could order ahead, that's made us happy several times this year, and caffeine. But more important than that is a therapist who lets me lie to myself that I can stop at any time. And she says, you sure can. She's lying to my face. But for real, things that do truly bring me joy and happiness is spending time to meditate, lifting weights, and really good music. And I need to take out watching Facebook videos because it's super negative and I get sucked in. All right. Question number 19. What episode did you like the best?
I liked the first one because we actually did it. But the one that I actually liked the best was Good Things to Come because I needed that episode and I needed to study that topic right then.
I like this one the best because I really enjoy talking about myself.
Moving on. What was the hardest episode to study for?
Goals. Setting goals was the hardest one for me.
That's the one I chose too.
Yeah, that's just honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Question 21. What is your hope for 2024?
That we get better at what we're doing with the podcast, that I will feel better, and that more people in the world will find God. That's my hope.
That was nice.
Thank you.
My hope is that we just move forward boldly and that we go forward and don't go backward, which is kind of always a fear for me, that once you feel good and you're moving forward, that you slip back. And I just want to be more bold and more brave for 2024 because we both have things that we need to do for this podcast that we have neglected and procrastinated. And I just hope that we actually do it.
Yeah, me too. And just for the heck of it, Cydni, I'm going to throw you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
Ready?
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, but it only worked while you were doing something mundane, what power would you choose?
Speed. I'd clean the house so fast.
Okay, that's where my mind went too.
Okay.
All right, good job. Yeah. If you were a professional wrestler, what would your ring name and signature move be?
The Crusher, and I would elbow people, like full elbow into their ball sack.
Into their what?
Ball sack. Right there. Like elbow, bam, body slam. The Crusher. I'm not changing my answer.
I don't. You don't
Okay.
have to. Okay. What's the most embarrassing moment from your childhood that still makes you cringe today?
I was once in Bye Bye Birdie and I was the secretary and you had to do a tap dance routine. And we found in the dressing room from the night before, there was a pageant and there was fake silicone boobs and I decided to wear them.
No, you did not.
And I did my little routine and one fell out. On stage, it flew up into the air and landed on my knee.
That's fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If animals could talk, which one do you think would be the funniest to have a conversation with?
That's such a flamingo. I think a bear. A bear would be the funniest because they're big and growly, but I bet they're like really sweet. Like a bear hug. Think of a bear hug, right? Big, warm, but a bear looks scary, but he probably just wants love.
No, I think you're absolutely wrong, but it's your questions. Moving on to the next one. Okay. What's your weirdest or most irrational fear?
Water. I'm terrified of water. Piranhas specifically. There was a time where I was afraid to take a bath just in case it came up in the pipes.
Okay. And
Now it's your turn. Rapid fire question.
oh no, I won't be able to think. I had a stroke, Cydni.
You're fine. I'll go slow.
Okay.
Okay. Who was your childhood famous crush? Someone you'd put their poster on your wall.
I can't think of his name. He was a gymnast. And
Gymnast?
He was a gymnast. He was an Olympic gymnast. And he had feathery black hair. I can't remember his name, but
Okay. That works. Okay. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
popcorn and cucumbers and vinegar. That's it.
Okay. If you had to get a neck tattoo right now, what would it be of?
I think it would have to be something snarky, like what are you looking at? Something like that. I don't know, but that's too big. Maybe a symbol, maybe a dove.
A dove tattoo on your neck is nice. Like tough, but peaceful.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. If you could do one illegal thing or drug and not get in trouble or caught, what would you do?
And I wouldn't have to feel guilty about it.
No guilt. Nobody
Yeah.
gets hurt.
Okay. It really would have to be petty theft. Like as you're walking down the store aisles, just kind of grabbing things and putting them in your pocket.
Oh my gosh. I like it. I thought of robbery too.
We're both
Maybe
thieves.
car theft.
Oh,
That would be exciting.
that would be intense.
Lock your cars tonight, neighbors.
And I have connections. Shout out to my students with the chop shops. We're headed your way.
All right. Our challenge is for you to ask yourself some of these questions and have fun with it and reflect on your year. And to wrap it up on my end, I'm going to go to the words from a song, The Show Goes On. And remember this going into 2024. No matter what you into, No matter what you see when you look outside your window, brown grass or green grass, picket fence or barbed wire, never ever put them down. You just lift your arms higher. Raise them till your arms tired. Let them know you're here, that you're struggling, surviving, and you're gonna persevere. Ain't nobody leaving, nobody's going home, and even if the light's out, the show must go on.
That was perfect, Cydni. And with that, we truly hope that you have a wonderful and great 2024. This is our prayer.
From Cydni and Sher. Cheers. Happy New Year. Hope you had a Merry Christmas.
I hope you had a Merry Christmas. That's really good. We hope you had a Merry Christmas.
Call us at 1-900. Long leg Linda.
That's certainly not me.
We're like 4'7". All legs. All legs.
Now we need to say Merry
No,
Christmas.
none of those
and
counted. They were terrible. Were you listening?
I like the first one. Welcome to the Hot Mess recap of 2023.
Our hot mess is hotter than your hot mess. Do you think people think that's a snake? Or will they understand it's hot?
We'll find out.
It's a little hot snake. Yeah, that feels right. It would probably that was my French accent.
Your French accent.
Random fact, I'm not good at accents. Oh, I'm crying. It's so funny. Deep sorrow in my soul for talent I don't have. Happy New Year.